Now I just hit record, so we just began. So dead. Are we gonna make it 5 minutes without like dying of utter laughter?
Oh my god! Yes.
The most serious topic, but yet the funniest,
yes.
according to Tess.
So funny.
This is 2-pack taper. Usually Paul does all like the plugs of like follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook. I don't think we have a Facebook.
You should get one.
For all the moms and dads out there.
Yeah.
Rate us really high, whatever that means to you.
On Yelp.
And Yelp, yeah, give us a Yelp review for 2-pack taper. But Paul does all the plugging. But if you have been following our social media, you know that today Tess and I are going to be doing a podcast centered around eating disorder awareness. It's Eating Disorder Awareness Week. And this is something that's very near and dear to our hearts and personal. As a disclaimer, I'm throwing this out there, trigger warning. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what will come up. But obviously, like if you know yourself and you know that you can't even listen to discussions about eating disorders without feeling triggered, this is your warning as a heads up. And also, we are not professionals. Neither of us have any sort of degree in anything. We're just sharing experiences.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. But we won't be saying like any numbers or any weights or anything too.
No.
So we'll be cognizant of that.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Basically, we're just going to be answering the questions that people put on Instagram and talking to our own experiences with our eating disorders and where we're at now and how all that good stuff.
And I think a lot of it too is going to be around running and exercise, just because that's the platform that we've communicated with about this podcast. So
yes,
but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully
take it as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, my eating disorder started before I was a runner, so I think I have a little bit different perspective than you, which will be kind of interesting because I usually don't recommend, not recommend, I'm not a doctor, but like as we're like, we give no medical advice. I recommend like training through an eating disorder. I don't usually say like, yeah, that's a great idea, go for it. But I did become a runner far enough into my recovery that I felt like it was safe, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I did cut back at the time that I was like, this is not good. I'm not a great human being right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know yourself and your care team or whatever probably knew you too. So everyone's experience is different.
100%. This is Tess. Is this your first time podcasting?
Yes.
It's like it's kind of fun because it's like we're having a conversation like we usually do.
We talk every day.
We do. We actually have matching tattoos.
We do.
They're so fun.
Yeah, that was spontaneous.
Yeah. We're big on that.
We drove by the tattoo shop and we're like, oh, there's no line, and we're friends. So and we're both born in November.
Yeah.
So let's do something about that.
And we did.
And
I don't think I'm ever going to regret that.
I won't.
And then it was interesting when we were talking to Danielle and she was like, oh, I feel like we became such good friends so fast that it can't last. And I was like, I don't know about you, but I have a tattoo.
I actually, that did cross my mind. Yeah. And I got sad because
me too.
I constantly catastrophize and I don't need to add that to.
No. And I would never, I always thought that, but it actually feels nice. Because one is Danielle, so to hear that she has intrusive thoughts is great.
Yeah.
Not great,
love
but
Danielle.
Love her. But
Pure.
then also I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. You think she's edgy?
I don't. I just felt bad just saying pure because she's so much more than just pure. But
why does pure have to be bad?
I don't know. She's a mix of wonderful things. We love Danielle.
She's like a bowl of pasta.
Yeah, and you can use whatever toppings you want in pasta. So
it's because she's nice. Okay, so
Sabrina, you've thought about this.
I did because
okay.
When I describe Sabrina to people, Sabrina's that psyched runner on Instagram. I describe her as being like a bowl of cotton candy, and
yeah, you did say that.
I would say that
and
is
it makes sense.
Right,
though.
It does. And I would say Danielle's her and Danielle get along really well, but I would say Danielle's less forwardly bubbly. Which is why I would say she's a bowl of pasta, because everyone loves pasta. And pasta's awesome. But, pasta's not in your face.
It could be.
It's not.
What? You're right. Wait, is cotton candy in your face?
Cotton candy is like, you see cotton candy and you're like, cotton candy, pink, blue, sugar, fun. Like, it's at a carnival.
Yeah.
Pasta, you can serve it before a big race. You can serve it in the afternoon.
Versatile.
Yeah, you can eat it for breakfast. Like, yeah.
Love that we're talking about food right now.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
It does. Okay, so how do you want to like go about this? Like, should we start kind of a little bit of a very loose background on like our journeys and then kind of go into the questions?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, I'll let you go first then.
Okay.
Oh, okay. The dread sets in.
Well.
Wait, should I introduce who you are actually as a human being?
Actually, maybe.
Okay, this is Tess. Tess is referred to Tess by their friends, not Tessa.
Well, my doctors call me Tessa, so I just feel like they're not my friends. Like, they're friendly, but they're not my friends.
That's your professional name.
Tessa.
And because...
Well, okay, it was in college, but then I was like, this doesn't feel personable. So I go by Tess now.
Yeah, so Tess...
So if you don't know me and you call me Tessa, it makes sense.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it just means you don't know me.
But they will talk shit behind your back.
I don't.
Yeah, no, you really wouldn't.
Don't
you
paint me in a bad
never.
light.
Yeah, no, Tess would never. But Tess is a runner, ran in college, and I'm assuming high school.
Yes.
That just kind of is
That's because, but I started my sophomore year because I did volleyball, and then I didn't make it my next year, so rip. But then started my running career, and there's no going back. Yeah. I love it.
And I met Tess at a coffee shop that they worked in as a barista, randomly through a friend who was explaining that Tess gave him plants, and now they're my plants.
I did. Yeah, I used to work for a local coffee shop, and they had so many plants, and they needed to be propagated.
And I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, you probably have propagations.
What does that
in
mean?
your house? It means like
little teeny baby plants?
Yeah, like for example, the spider plant that we saw the other day that like had like the little babies at the end.
Oh, like the little thing that poofed off of it?
Yeah. That's ready to be propagated.
So you cut that off?
You cut it off, you put it in water, wait for it to root, and then you can plant it and make. And your pothos are, I don't know if I said that right, because I met a plant person the other day who said pothos, so I don't know.
I think pothos.
Pothos. Those are really easy to do it with.
So you cut it off and then you put it in. I've been doing it wrong. I thought you cut it off and you just shove it in the dirt.
No, absolutely not. It'll die.
That makes sense why they never worked for me.
Yeah, that checks out.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Tess has 2 cats, 2 boy cats.
2 boy cats. I love them.
Tess also does art. So if anyone wants...
HMU.
Yeah. Anyone wants any... Is that your knuckles? Yeah. Oh my gosh. If anyone wants...
I'm nervous, okay?
Don't be nervous. It's just for having a conversation.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants any art, hit them up because it is really cool. Really
thanks,
cool.
Mac.
I love it. I have Tess art on my fridge.
Tiny little plug. I'm actually going to have some prints available in March.
Ooh. On Etsy, on your Instagram?
I don't have Etsy. On my Instagram.
Which is?
You
don't know your handle?
No. We were talking about this earlier.
It's your...
Is it Tessa Noel VDW?
I think it is.
Tess Noel.
No, I think there's an A because your name on Instagram has an A on it. And that's why I asked if it was okay that I called you Tess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And I used to have an art Instagram account, but it's like 10 years old at this point, so it's deactivated. Sorry.
Oh, you should really get one back.
I should.
Yeah, and you should
have a
get an
mental
Etsy
block
shop.
around it.
Really?
Yeah. It's because it's just old stuff, and I hate social media and keeping up with it. But I digress.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's Tess.
Yeah, that's me.
I will let Tess tell whatever you are comfortable sharing with about your story and where you're at now.
Yes, my story.
It's almost like you're talking to a diary.
Yeah.
That you can hear in your own ear.
Kind of, except I probably won't go into super specifics.
For sure.
Because, well, I definitely am more of an open book about it. So, like, if anyone who I guess even didn't know me or, like, my friends or whatever, you can always come and talk to me about it if you, like, feel safe enough. But as for, like, this podcast and just that it's more of, like, a public platform, I just want to be cognizant of, like, how much I do share just because of, like, who's listening and
the people
and
involved.
Whatnot.
And
yeah.
fair. Totally fair.
So I'm just going to keep it kind of vague unless like questions or whatever, which I haven't really read through, asks more specifically. But I can recall starting to struggle when I was 15. I'm 26 now. So I was 15 when I first could notice like acting on behaviors, but I just didn't have like the language or like the understanding on what eating disorders were until many years later. I noticed it specifically around sports and just kind of like adapting what I was eating just because I was like nervous about my sport performance and like not being good enough and just worried that like I would just feel sick in some way. So a lot of my food was just kind of altered just to like meet certain expectations of sports. I didn't notice that I was struggling probably till I was like 19 in college, and then I was probably in denial for a couple more years until it kind of hit a breaking point and I needed to get help for it. So I was probably like, I don't know, like 22, and then have been in active recovery since then. I won't say that I'm in like full recovery. I'm not like fully recovered just because it's been like kind of like a give and take a little bit, like just kind of on and off for years. So it's just kind of a lot to like learn and unlearn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else specifically. I think for me, a lot of it was like about just feeling seen and cared for and like heard and like not feeling good enough and just kind of like using food to kind of control that a little bit. So, yeah.
I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is that it has nothing to do, like, obviously there is a very superficial part, right? Like there's a superficial part,
Sure, yeah.
but that's usually not how it starts.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it
could
starts
for some people. Like everyone's experience is different, but I will say it is a lot more than just like I feel like,
but even
outsiders might see it as like a vain thing, but it's so much more like emotionally complex than that.
For sure, because you think about like even people who are like maybe don't suffer necessarily from an eating disorder, but have insecurities about the way they look. That's still, I don't know, like it's still not based around appearance, right? Like if someone has issues with the way that they look at themselves in the mirror, it's usually stemming from like a lack of something else, right? Like I don't know if that's making sense. You know what I mean? So that's why I say like, it's not superficial. Like it's not about, I need to look this way just to look this way. There's a sense of control.
To be seen,
insecurities, wanting to be seen, feeling like there's a lack of something somewhere, and this is how they can make up for it in a way, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of it's like, I don't know if you've heard of like the happiness paradox or whatever, but it's like I'm not going to be happy until or if or when I'm like I am this kind of person, or I have these things, or like maybe I'm this weight, or maybe look this way or whatever. Then I'll be accepted.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share about your story?
I think right now that's good. Okay. So if you want to take 100%. Away. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Mine, I feel like, is a little, I guess, kind of similar in the way that, like, if I look back, I can honestly say that I did not have an eating disorder until I hit college. And I think during high school, the reason I didn't, I don't know, I just don't remember like worrying about any of that stuff. But then I kind of think about the way that I was raised in the sense of like, quote unquote, the almond mom. And I think that like I followed her patterns. And obviously you eat the things your parents bring home. Like, and
I can relate.
You kind of go, you go with their trends, you go with their habits and like all of that. But when I was on my own, I didn't keep the same habits. Yeah, if that makes sense.
But you're still influenced.
Yes,
by
there's
them when you're younger,
yes,
but
like there's an influencer, but I didn't struggle as much. I think I struggled when I went to college. Obviously, like a lot of it did circle around sports. I was a competitive cheerleader in college and high school, and also like I was living away from my family. I felt like college was really I loved high school, and I might be one of those like the
No,
only
dude,
girl,
I loved
like,
it.
I loved it.
I low-key feel like I peaked in high school.
You do?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like I do. I feel like I had this great group of friends, and like I was so in love with a boy, like, and I just like, even I'm just smiling think about it. Like I felt like I was just so happy.
Over there.
And like I was so close to my family. I mean, I had really hard times in high school. Don't get me wrong. There's a few instances where I'm like, ooh, that was a really, really dark time in my life. But then I feel like when I went to college, I really struggled to find a sense of belonging. And I feel like I always felt out of control. And I have suffered with general anxiety disorder since I was in 5th grade is when I got diagnosed.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was a very, very anxious little kid.
Mac.
I know.
Aw.
But I didn't really... I felt like in high school, I found other ways to cope with that anxiety. And people in high school, I don't know if it was because of who I was. And I look back now and I think about the way people describe me, my friends and the people that knew me. And a lot of them did describe me as kind of like controlling and
They did?
a little bit, and like OCD and things like that. And I can definitely see that. And sometimes I see those things still come out now. And it's just how I cope with anxiety is like, I need things in control. Like I need to be in control of things. And that's where sometimes it comes out in like OCD tendencies of like things have to be perfect. And like, I can't explain why I get angry about it, but I do. And when I went to college, I think it was really easy to slip into pointing that control over food. And then being on a sports team, obviously, like it kind of was a gateway drug into it because, you have, like you see, it's very like that culture of like all these different sports is like, look this way, eat this, like you're not good enough because of this.
And then being under high stress.
Exactly.
To be like in college, probably have a job, and then like be in a sport.
Yes.
It's a lot.
And like
it's like too much on a person.
And you
I'm
also
sorry.
already feel like you don't belong because you're in college. And it's like, who the heck are you? And why was a little kid sent to this adult world to try to tell everyone? Like, you know what I mean? Like we're sent out there at age 18 and been like, all right, figure out what you want to do with your life.
I know nothing. I still know nothing.
I don't ever know nothing. Or know anything.
Was it a big college?
What?
What college? I'm so sorry. What college did you go to?
Oh, I went to Western my first 2 years.
And then you went to GV.
And then I went to GV.
Okay, I knew that. So those are, I don't know how big Western is.
Western's D1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to go to Western, to be honest.
Why'd you go?
I don't think I knew what I wanted to do because, like I said, I was in love with a boy, and the boy went to Central Michigan, and I wanted to go to Central Michigan. But my mom definitely has disordered eating. I don't know. Can't speak for right now because we don't see each other as much, but she definitely did.
Has a history.
Yeah,
of it.
definitely has like OCD. Definitely has like some anxiety stuff. And so they were pretty controlling where I went to school and what I studied. And that led me to Western where my dad went. And obviously I couldn't pick the school that the boy went to.
My parents went to Western.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a West Michigan thing. Like they're like, all right, we'll go to Western. Is it Western Central?
Yeah.
Or I think my mom did go to Aquinas. I don't know. For nursing. So I don't think she went to Calvin. But you went to Calvin.
My
all your
extended
brothers.
family went to Calvin, and my brothers and me.
Isn't that crazy? It's a West Michigan thing. I always tell people, I'm like, I told Nora and Alex that too. I was like, once you're in West Michigan, people don't leave.
That's so true, and it's so true.
You like had a revelation there.
Well, it is, and whenever like people talk about Michigan in songs or books or like movies, I'm like, why the hell are you talking about Michigan? Like, it's like, what's so special about? But it is actually cool, okay? Like pure Michigan, like the UP is like out of this world.
Cool. Okay, yeah, but it is cool. And I also like, it's astonishing that we don't get like severe weather. Like
we do,
but
what
we don't.
Are you talking about?
Like
we're having a tornado tomorrow.
We don't. You can't like plan a tornado.
Mac said today. I'm like so stressed even thinking about it.
That there's a tornado tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, you can come and sit in my basement? You want to come over to be in the tornado?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's going to be a tornado.
Mac drove me home in the last tornado that
I did. It was chaos.
I ran to practice and then was going to run home, and then the tornado started as I was about to run home, so
obviously that was not going to happen.
Anyway,
sorry,
we could do this all night.
We just chit-chat all the time. Oh,
I don't even know college.
Oh, yeah. So obviously being on a sports team, we had some very, very toxic things happening. Like the coaches would host these things called sports bra practices.
Sports bra?
Yeah. So you would have to show up in basically...
The coaches.
Yeah, basically like... And so as a male coach and a female coach.
I don't
so this is at my first university, so Western. Basically, you had to show up in, like running briefs, like the Spanx, like the underwear. They look like straight underwear.
Like the buns?
Buns, yes.
But for cheerleading?
Yes.
Is that different?
Yeah. The same.
It's like the same.
Yeah.
It's underwear.
Now people wear like more boy shorty, like spandex under cheer stuff, but they used to wear like the Spanx in like the beginning. Yeah. So you had to wear that and a sports bra, and you just had to keep running. What? And the point was, if anything shook, then you, like, the coaches hoped that they wouldn't have to tell you to lose weight. You would just realize it.
And you were on, like, display for, like, your team and your coaches?
Yeah, and any other... I mean, we were in a sports facility, so any other sports
disgusting.
teams. Oh, yeah, it was
so
horrible.
Sorry. That is just not right.
I only had to take part in it...
I could rage. I won't, but I will.
I only had to take part in it once.
Why? Like,
I think they just, like, were slowly realizing that wasn't going to fly anymore. You know what I mean? Because, like, the girls had horror stories on the team, but, like, they only made us, like, our year of it do it once. But, like, they also would put girls who weighed a certain amount on eating, like, food plans where they had to check in with the coaches every time they ate.
You got, like, weighed at practice?
Only certain people who they deemed, like, was too heavy.
Just by looks?
By looks, yeah. Because, I mean, you couldn't tell, obviously. They didn't weigh us. It was, like, based on what they perceived as, not loving that. And it was so dumb.
That
and,
is
like...
disgusting.
It was
Can
horrible.
we take a moment and just say
I know.
disgust?
It was horrible. And then I transferred to Grand Valley.
Because of that?
No, I transferred because, like, and quite honestly, I was having boy problems. And I was like, gotta get out of here.
Yeah, that's why you gotta date girls. And boys. And whoever you want.
You just get that. I feel like that opens up to way more drama. Now you're dating everybody. And so I transferred to Grand Valley. And I feel like, why do things don't stem from men for me. But I did get into a very toxic relationship with my cheerleading coach at Grand Valley. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. Shouldn't have done that. But again, it wasn't anything that he did. It was the fact that it was toxic and I felt out of control. And I felt out of control in my life at that time because I felt a lot of stress and pressure on that sports team to be really good, to fight for a spot to make mat. And also I was juggling 18 credits. I was also working at a bar, B-dubs, until early in the mornings. Job, yeah. So. And just like a lot of things were happening in life. And again, felt out of control.
Dating the coach, right?
Yeah, and I was dating the
coach.
Yeah, I was dating the coach. Yes.
I had to say that on the set.
No, you're good. I honestly, like, if he gets in trouble, no, just kidding. He's fine. He's probably a good person now. You were 18 at that time. And I was young. Yeah, I was like 19. He was like 30. Yeah. Not great, but.
Maybe not. But that's okay. You do you.
Yeah. So I definitely started falling into like bad behavior. And I will say I did get pulled aside my senior year by the coaches. But the way that they handled it put me on the defense. Wait, okay. Like, they pulled me aside one practice and they were like, "You're weird." Like, not in like you're weird as in like, "Oh my gosh, you're weird," but like more in the sense that they were like, "These behaviors don't line up with who you have been." Like, so it wasn't necessarily eating patterns or my looks. It was that obviously my mood had changed. I was getting really angry at practice when usually I was super positive. I was getting super frustrated. Yeah. Like I had a bit of a dark cloud over me at all times.
Dude. Yeah. I literally the same thing happened to me. I was just actually talking to Mac about this earlier. Was the coach who I ran for is not coaching anymore. But he like one time was like, what happened to you? In front of the whole team. He's like, what happened to you? Like, you used to smile. Like, what? Does your dog die every single day? Oof. Like, and then every day after that, he would yell at me to smile. I'm like, dude, if you tell me to smile, I'm not going to smile. Also, can't you tell that I'm, like, struggling? Yeah, like, there's better ways to handle,
there's something else going on.
Like, mental health issues than to just, like, throw it on a spotlight and be like, do better. Like,
exactly.
I feel like that's pretty common for, like,
and
college sports and
for
stuff.
Sure.
Like, it's just not. It was a toxic environment.
Always. I mean, honestly, sports can be toxic. That's true. Like, teams can be toxic. And of course, like, they did address some eating behavior that they noticed, but it was like
with you.
Yeah, but it was like so minuscule that I was able to focus on the fact that like I had broken up with the coach by that point, and so I was like, obviously put him on blast in that moment. I was like, it's because of him, and like I was like a little bitch. Like honestly, like I just kind of I blew up. I raged a little bit, and it was misdirected. But yeah, fast forward. I just kind of lived with it in secret, honestly. Like, I knew something was wrong because of how unhappy I felt, but I also, like, didn't want to give up that sense of control because it was comforting at the same time.
Yeah, it's familiar.
Yeah. It wasn't until all of that kind of happened in 2004, or 2013 is where I entered college. So it kind of began then, got called out in 2015. Flash forward to 2017, and I'm with my latest ex-husband. My ex-husband. So his name's Mitch. I'm gonna name drop him.
Yeah, Mitch.
His name's Mitch.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
It
just rhymes. It just rhymes.
Yeah.
So I was with Mitch at the time, and again, like I was just a terrible person. Like, I will admit that. Like, I was just very controlling, and I had, like, a very short fuse, and I was just really unhappy, and he kind of called it out, and I was like, no, like, I just, he actually was like, are you bipolar? Like, you should go get checked, like, for mental disorders. And I was like, well, I know I struggle with generalized anxiety. Like, what else can they tell me? And I went into the doctor anyway. And they gave me bipolar medicine.
Did you say the word bipolar? Like, I think I might have bipolar, and they
yeah,
okay.
Basically. Like, I kind of lured them to that, right?
You're right.
And they gave that to me, and it was just a disaster, and it wasn't helping anything, obviously. Just turned me into a zombie because I didn't have bipolar disorder.
That's strong.
Yeah, it's so strong. Yeah. So, and at this point, I was also having, like, a lot of other terrible things happening to my like physical being. Like, it wasn't just mental, like mental
like repercussions from,
but it was like, I mean, I was at a point where like I had to sit down in the shower because I had no energy. I crawled up the stairs. Like I was crying because weird things were happening, and I was actually scared. Like, my heart rate was dropping so low.
Dude, yeah.
I would be in the gym, and like one time my whole arm went numb.
Just randomly.
And I couldn't get it to come back, and I started crying in the gym because I was so scared.
Scary.
Yeah, like random things like that. And then
no one tells you this, okay?
Oh yeah,
when
my teeth were
hair,
so
nails,
bad. Hair, nails,
skin,
everything like sunken in.
Yeah.
And I also was finally at the point where like I couldn't get into bed without physically lifting up my knee and like my leg and putting it into bed. Like, I couldn't do it myself.
Scary. Yeah.
And I was freaking out about that. So I went back to the doctor. And I was like, hey, the limb not working. And they were like, oh, like, can you explain anything else that's going on? And I just broke down crying. And I was like, I don't want to live anymore. Like, I can't live like this. I cannot do this. Like, I have. And I kind of like, and I kind of went off about here's like nothing about the physical stuff I was dealing with. It was just like, I don't want to have to do the stuff surrounding food. I don't want these disordered eating qualities anymore because I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I also can't give it up.
Yeah.
And that was when she ended up being like, yeah, you have an eating disorder, and like you need to be put in inpatient. Like, this is obviously not good. And so that kind of started my recovery journey, and it definitely wasn't linear. And I did end up having to go into the athletic doctor, sports medicine doctor. And I ended up like, my kneecap had fractured, and I had such bad osteoporosis in my knees.
And you didn't know that?
I had no idea. He said it looked like I got in a car crash. That's how fragile my bones were from like obviously malnourishment.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I had like a lot of repercussions there. But then I started recovery, and now I've been in recovery since October of 2018. So it's cool for me.
2024, which
We're in 2024.
I cannot believe it.
Yeah, I know. And I always struggle. Like, I feel like it's hard because I never know what to call myself. Like, I don't know if I'd be like considered recovered. And I don't know if I'll ever get to that point because I just think the way that my mind is wired, like, I just don't think I'll ever be able to do things that someone who's never struggled with disordered eating or an eating disorder can do.
Yeah.
And I just don't think I can ever look at it the same way because I think it's such a slippery slope back into a dark place where like I'm always going to say I'm in recovery. I'm always going to be in recovery. Yeah. I don't know. That's just kind of where I stand.
No, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my story, I guess. And now here I am chilling with you.
Chilling, running.
But we
living,
can,
vibing.
Yeah, we can go to the questions. Let's see. Okay. I'll just start with, I love how you had the screenshotted one and I'm going off my email because I sent it to you. The first.
Why didn't you email it to me? Okay,
I didn't have your email, I thought. So
well, now you do.
I thought screenshotting it would be easier.
It is easy. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So the first question is, and these are all off of our Instagram. People ask them. And again, like Tess said.
And we probably have answered a couple of these at this
Probably,
point.
yeah. But we can just skip over that a little bit. But
yeah.
If you ever have any questions or you're struggling, obviously we urge you to seek professional help because it is really hard. I struggle with saying impossible, but I also kind of believe it's impossible not to recover without help.
Of some kind, because there's like an educational component to it that's like super important.
And also,
like I would not be as far as I am in recovery without that, and like without the care team to kind of like encourage me safely forward and hold me accountable. So
that's a huge thing.
People can do it, but you know,
I don't know.
I'm sure there are people that have
done
it on their own.
Nothing's black and white.
But I just at least so much better because I have my beautiful care team.
It's something that
shout out to my
shout out to the care teams.
I love you.
It also thrives in like being a secret. Like it thrives in hiding things.
Yes.
It honestly does, which is why I talk about it so much.
It sucks because like that's not who you are and
no.
that's not who I am. Like
I'm
not a liar.
Yeah, but then you turn into a liar.
Yeah,
like, it's such a liar.
It's a deceitful little disease.
My parents said like not trust me at all. Like when I was in the midst of it, they're like, you're lying about everything. And I was like, no, I'm not. But I knew I was. I just couldn't stop. It was just like took over me. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
again, we
the questions.
So the first question is, how do you describe an eating disorder or how do you describe like having an eating disorder to someone who doesn't have one so they can understand the pain? And I told Tess when we were talking about this question earlier, I interpreted it as not literally what is an eating disorder, which I guess we could go over that, but we're not science people.
There are several different kinds of eating disorders.
Yeah, and obviously there's a difference between like disordered eating and eating disorders. Very, very thin line there. But I kind of took it as like, how do you kind of describe the struggle so that someone can understand why it's so detrimental and terrible to live with? Do you like what do you think, Tess? I'll let you start.
I guess just kind of piggybacking. Shut up.
Piggybacking.
Yeah. What we were already talking about. It just like I would never choose this as my worst enemy. I would not choose this for myself, and I think it took years off my life that I'll never get back, and definitely robbed me of my color. And so just to have like a disorder that can do that, it's shitty enough, not to mention like just the physical repercussions and just like honestly the trauma that you kind of go through too. Like I don't think I ever had a day when I was like really struggling where I like didn't want to wake up. Like that was just like a regular thing for me. Like it's just a very dark place to be in. And so like if it's just not something to take lightly, because like even if someone's struggling a little bit, like it's probably like all they think about. So like
consumes you.
It does, like because you're hungry, so like your body's trying to tell you, but like then you're like constantly like fighting against like what your body is, and like there's just like a lack of trust that you have with your body. Like I definitely lost embodiment. Like I was so out of touch with like what I needed. And
it's also like, and this is such a valid question too. Like, and honestly, like it's almost like I want to ask the person who asked this, what can we do to make it more legitimized? Because I do feel like even when I talk to like people like, for instance, Paul does not struggle with this. That is like, I am in awe of him, but like, obviously he does not struggle with this. He doesn't even struggle with like, I'd say like any disordered eating at all.
That you know of. But
that I know that he shared with me, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
But like, I would almost ask someone like that, like, how do you how could someone who is struggling make it more like, I don't know, like a scream for like, help me, like this sucks. Because I do feel like even like it's we don't joke around about it, but like everyone always says like, oh, I feel like everyone who does a sport or the X or is, you know, a female or X, Y, and Z, like we've normalized it so much to the point that we're like, everyone probably has one. But it's like, I feel like that almost
invalidates
like how horrible it is and like the trauma. It's like, because I found myself when I was talking to Paul, talking about doing hard things or like going through hard things, right? And I was like, oh, I've never gone through anything hard in my life.
You said that?
Yeah, because it's almost like it just feels so like I don't know, it doesn't feel valid to be like, oh, I had an eating disorder, or like I struggle with an eating disorder. Like, I don't know, that seems so much.
Why? Because of the dialogue around it right now? Or
maybe it's just like, I feel like maybe it's just something inside of me that's like, I don't know how to get someone else to take it as seriously as it was, because they didn't, like, obviously, like, for instance, my mom, she takes it very seriously. Like, ever since I went through this, she is like, same as me, like, we don't count calories. We don't talk about calories. We don't talk about labels. We will eat everything. There is no, like, we have dessert. We don't skip. Like, she's so, like, anti-diet culture now, which is great to see. And I don't know if she only does it around me, but she does it. And, like, I can tell that me having an eating disorder affected her so much. And she really felt how dangerous, and how serious it was. But I don't necessarily think the common person takes it that serious.
No. And I think that's why eating disorders can get so out of hand with people who are struggling and don't often get help until they're at their breaking point and like physically their body just cannot take it and they're medically unstable. Like, a lot of the time it gets to that point because people oftentimes don't feel valid enough in their struggle. Like
the sick enough
I'm not sick enough until I'm inpatient, or I'm not sick enough. But it's like, no matter how much you struggle, like, it's still valid because you're struggling and like it's like impacting your life in some way.
100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess everything we just said, like, the question, you know, is asking, how do you describe it? And I guess, like, it's so different for everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
That, like, I don't necessarily know how I would describe it to someone who, so that they understand my pain. All I can do is, like, share my experience. And, like, I hope enough people share their experience that, like, that those who aren't struggling and don't have those tendencies and those worries will understand how the danger of it and, like, how extreme it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Tips for fixing your relationship with food while on a running journey.
Ooh, that's a
fine line.
Humdinger.
Fine line.
It is. I personally had to take 4 years off of racing and 2 years off of running completely.
Yeah.
Because my body could not support it. And that's just like what my care team saw fit for me at the time. Like, I was very limited to like what I could do and what movement I could do. So it's hard to maintain a healthy relationship with food and running while you're struggling. It's
I feel like
it's something I'm still navigating now. Just coming off of a stress fracture, if that says anything. So
I just posted on my Mac or Run with Mac Instagram. That's like how I personally protect my peace. But I'm in, like I told you, I'm in a different place. Like, I'm not in a place where like I am just now trying to figure out how to recover from an eating disorder. True. Like, so there's a difference. True. Like, I'm protecting my peace. I'm protecting my recovery by doing certain things while also working to become a distance runner. But that can look so different. And whether or not you're in a place where you can safely do that, I think you should probably talk to a professional. But that being said, like, it sounds like for this person, again, tips for fixing your relationship with food. If you maybe don't identify with having an actual eating disorder, I would say, my rule of thumb, again, to protect my peace is I don't count calories. I don't do any of that. I don't watch what I eat. I also don't intuitively eat, if that makes sense. Like, because I'm a runner, I know I need more food. And I also know that my body doesn't always tell me that, because I've lost some of that in my eating disorder days, the ability to know whether or not I'm hungry.
Yeah, it messes up your hunger cues.
It does?
For
yes,
sure.
That's the word I was looking for. So I always stick to like, no matter what day, whatever exercise I do, doesn't matter. At least 3 meals, at least 2 snacks. And that's
and
like,
then some.
Yeah. Like that's
honestly,
so minimum.
Especially if you're like running a significant amount.
Yeah.
Like eating when you're not hungry. Eating before and after.
Yep. And during a run.
And
those,
yeah.
I guess I didn't even count those. Like that's just like natural to me at this point.
You got to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
if
saying
you
like,
run 8 miles or more,
like exactly. If you're even running like a 3-mile run, like you better have a snack before and after. You don't need to run or eat during, I guess, but
just eat like all the time. So
exactly.
that's okay.
But I guess like that, and then I also would just like try to focus on performance rather than trying to fit this idealistic, romanticized version of what a runner might look like.
What do you mean performance?
Like instead of being like, let's just say you have taken up running because you've tricked yourself into thinking you want to just be healthy, and this person needs tips for like navigating food on that. Instead of being like, okay, I'm a runner, runners look like X, Y, and Z, I want to look like that, I'm going to run, focus on like, okay, I want to be a good runner, or I want to feel good on my run.
Feel healthy, have energy.
Exactly. Like I don't want to be dying during these runs, so I need to fuel to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like rephrasing that way of thinking of like, I always call food fuel. Like I have to take fuel while I run. I need fuel before I run. I need fuel after I run. I need to make sure like I'm fueling for my runs tomorrow. Like I've kind of rephrased it to that because it makes it more essential, I guess, in my mind. But that's like, again, that's my
what works
way.
For you.
Yeah, that's how it works for me. I feel like those are just tips that I do when like protecting my peace. And again, I am the person, again, another thing, just I put in my Instagram thing, like I'm the first person to yell when someone starts talking about calories. Yeah. Or like
I turn all my boxes around. I don't
I'll take things out of the boxes.
I don't
Cereal,
even want to see them.
Whoop, you're out of the box and you're just sitting in your bag. Yeah. I do that too. Or like I used to have to go to the extreme of like I took a Sharpie and marked it all off. And then like we're part of a Discord for our running team, and I delete anything that has anything about weight, calories, numbers. Just because, again, protecting my peace as well as maybe protecting someone else's. I don't know.
Yeah.
Number 3, what did recovery make you discover about yourself? Fun.
This is kind of relevant to what I'm doing right now. So it just made me realize that I have a personality outside of my eating, outside of my eating disorder. Because I definitely feel like I became more of like a shell of a person, like a dull person when I was just a very angry person, kind of like what Max said. I was just a very angry person, kind of like in the heart of it in college. But what I'm doing right now, which honestly, I could ask your opinion. I don't know I haven't yet, but, my therapist, gave me a prompt to ask some of my like close friends, like how, like when they look at me, how do they see me, like what, like my passions and like what I'm interested in and like what I love to do, and just like me as a person, like how do they see me? Just because I feel like when I was like really struggling, and like when I do struggle more, like I can't see my identity outside of like the eating disorder, like my like mental illnesses that I like struggle with. And it was a really beautiful thing to see like some of the things that like people have said about me.
Why didn't you ask me?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I literally see you every day. Okay. And I was supposed to make art around it. I haven't even done it yet. I think I'm avoiding it.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like when I introduced you, like, I don't know, like I see you as being, I'm going to answer right now. Yeah.
This is so special. Wow. Thank you, Mac. I hate this. And like,
what, did you want me to send it in an email format?
No, you can tell
3
me.
to 6 business days.
I'm just bad at like.
You don't say thank you at the end.
I'm going to say only thank you. I'm not going to say.
Yeah. Don't say anything else. Yeah. Okay. How do I see you? Tess, I see you as being a very bubbly, like sweet person who has a lot of strength and ambition around their goals. I see you as being very artistic and like edgy with a good sense of style. I see you deeply caring for people, and not just like the people you love, but the people like just around you, whether or not that's a stranger or like someone that's hanging out with you, someone who just like joined our team. You just always offer like you're everything, and you are very sweet and passionate and caring and compassionate. That's actually the word I meant, towards them. And you're very smart, actually. I know I say actually, but like you're very intelligent, and you're also very well spoken. And I think that like you just have a very big heart. Wow. Yeah, and I really like being your friend. That's a lot of things.
You didn't. I love being your friend too. Well, this is very.
I do. I love being your friend.
Life-giving. Thank you, Mac. Wow.
Like if I think about it, I know that it's weird because I feel like you and Danielle and like all of our, I know I only named 2 people, but like our running friends, I feel like we haven't been friends for very long, but I do feel like I think you all have made me a better person and have impacted my life in such a like huge way. And you're like, I don't mind, like you're one of those people I don't mind just being in a room with.
Like we can ride.
Like if that makes sense. Like there's some people who's like, it just feels like so much effort to be around them. Like you feel like you have to put your best foot forward. And I just feel like you, along with like the other people that we spend time with, like we don't have to do that. We just can be. And it's like, and you're really good at that. And you're also really good at like making people feel seen. Like you really offer it's not like a shoulder to lean on or like anything like that, but it's like, you being in the same room as someone, I just feel like can make someone feel okay and safe. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's really sweet.
I love that.
Is it, one more thing, because it's an art related thing. Is there a color that comes to mind or like an image? I forgot to mention that.
A color and image.
It's the first color that comes to your mind.
I was thinking the green or yellow, but I don't know why.
Green. Okay, green.
Okay. I don't know, like it seems like peaceful, but also like earthy.
Yeah.
You know?
Moss girl.
Moss girl.
Just kidding, I'm not a moss girl. I do like nature, but I'm not a moss girl.
I actually don't even know what that means still to this day.
I just learned this like 2 weeks ago.
We've been learning that.
Yeah.
Andrew's girlfriend.
Andrew.
Andrew's girlfriend. Next is how do you block out other people's comments / eating styles? In quotes, especially the almond moms. Those poor almond moms.
Well, I think a lot of that is around like social media.
Yes.
I had to go through a huge like, oh my God, for lack of better term, purge.
Yeah. Yes.
On social media,
still do it.
Unfollow. Yeah. If somebody says something remotely triggering or on my like For You page, just immediately unfollow, mute, like it's not serving me. So see ya.
Yeah.
Like
I also, again, like I am very open about having an eating disorder, and I'm also very open about the things that I expect from the people who are going to be in my life. I'm not sure if this almond mom is your mom, but I think honestly being open to what you need, like the people who are around me know that you do not bring up calories. Like, it's just a thing. And if you do, I'm not even going to like sugarcoat it. I'm going to immediately shut you up. And,
you don't even have to explain yourself. Some people, you can if you want to educate or whatever. But honestly, if you're like, no, we're just not going to talk about it. Yeah. And that's that. Cool.
Like, I mean,
like more power to you. They'll get the hint.
Yeah. Like, I think it's been on this podcast before when I've been like, but we don't talk about that. Or like, probably. I'm very much like,
I hear her say that weekly.
I always tell people, I'm like, we don't do that. We don't talk about that. We don't judge people on that. And I feel like it's just like,
not like it's not supposed to be like I'm calling you out thing.
No,
like necessarily. Like it's not like it's mean like I'm better than you. Like
no, I'm not at all. But it's like I also like protecting my peace, and I'm
like you're passionate about it. And that's okay. That's
and
okay.
There's also people who like might not ever speak up. Like there are some people who I'm sure they're still like kind of hiding in the shadows, and they do see triggering things, and like they're not at the place yet where they feel comfortable or safe enough to voice what they need. And so even if I'm not necessarily like, there's some things where like, I'm just not triggered by them anymore, but I still say it because God forbid there's someone who is in the room who is triggered by it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take part in that.
And it's also tough too. Cause like, I know some people like will trigger seek, I guess.
Yeah. Because it makes you feel comfortable and like gives you a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a familiar feeling.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I guess, I don't even know how to. And I just made this more complicated.
Yeah,
we're just
tiny bit more complicated.
That's a whole nother.
But I think
we could have like 20 podcasts about this.
This is true. But I think in terms of just like blocking out other people's comments or eating styles, you can remove yourself. You don't need to block out people's comments. You always have a choice. Like walk away, and like, it's really okay to be like, hey, I kind of struggle with body image and eating, like, could we maybe refrain from doing that, or like rephrase that? I think it's really okay to ask for what you need. And
yeah, because people probably just don't even really realize.
It's so, it's so normalized diet talk.
They think it's harmless, you know?
Yeah.
They're just like talking.
Yeah. Like when where was I? And I was at the grocery store somewhere, and I think I just put it on my story, and someone was like, my uncle, he was like, I had breakfast with my uncle, and he was like, oh yeah, like something stupid about how I can cheat and eat a cookie. And I just, I mean, I'm at the point now where like, I'm so open about it. I was like, I don't cheat on food. Like, food's not bad. Food's not good. Food is just food. And like, I will eat a cookie if I want it, and I won't eat a cookie if I don't want it. And like, and I'm very much like open about saying that, but I know other people aren't there yet.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, like, you have to choose to either block out your ED voice, or walk away, remove yourself from the situation, and just try to, fill your time and your circle with people who won't do that to you and can.
It's already a battle enough to like struggle with it, so like it's not like you can just walk away, because some people might not be as receptive towards that, but has nothing to do with you. So.
5, how does a friend support when they haven't been around an eating disorder before?
It's like I don't think it has to be like there's like no perfect way to do it. Like, does it have to be like this super like in depth, like they have to do this and have to know all these things?
Yeah.
Because like there's so much you can learn about like eating disorders in general, and some people might not take the time to learn it, and that's okay. But like I think for me, like just like speaking from my experience, the things that have helped me the most is just like being in the company of somebody at a meal was actually helpful for me, because I was like with a friend who like, had a healthier relationship with food, and I could just like sit with them and kind of see like, oh, this is like a healthy person eating a meal, and they're like okay, and they're like talking and having conversation, and like they're eating what feels good for them, and like I can do that same thing too. So it just kind of rubbed off on me in like 100%. A good way. And 100%. I think but some people don't like being stared at when they eat too, and I think it also just depends on like the company that you have and like the friends that you have, I guess.
Yeah, and where you're at in your journey.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think it's different for everyone. Like
what was most helpful for you?
I would say kind of the same thing. Yeah. I think like even when I wasn't necessarily in recovery, I still felt like when I ate, if I was going to go get ice cream, like let's say Mitch at the time, I would want him to get ice cream too, because it would make me feel like I could do that. It almost gave me permission. So that always helped. I also feel like avoiding diet talk, avoiding any comments about bodies. So whether or not you think you're being nice and being like, oh, like you look great, like whether you're saying you look, you look healthy, like don't say it. Just avoid any comments about someone's body, just at all together. Like compliment their demeanor, like say, wow, you're just like, you seem so happy, or like, I just love how like your personality's like shining through right now, or like, you're so smart, or comment on something a little bit more valid and less body related. Yeah.
I remember like asking my friends that that's what I like needed, like something like aside from.
Yeah, like still compliment me, like like pump me up,
be my hype human, but like
please hype me up, but like just don't comment out, like even being like, wow, that outfit looks really good on you, like even that, be like, it's a little tricky. I just feel like avoid those types of language.
And some people like check-ins, some people like grocery shopping buddies, some people I think it all just depends on the person, and if they're your friend, like I feel like it's okay to ask, because like sometimes it's hard to ask for what you need, like as someone who's struggling, it's just hard to ask what you need.
And maybe like I think that's a good opportunity, because I don't remember a lot of friends who asked me to share what it was like with them. I don't remember anyone. I remember people tiptoeing around the situation. Like,
I'm so sorry for the video. My nose is drippy.
That's okay.
I have a septum piercing. Paul can cut that out.
Paul, cut that out. Cut that out.
My boogers. That's gross.
He'll cut that out.
Okay.
I feel like I don't remember, like while I was really struggling, anyone asking me what it was like. I just don't remember. Like, I was open about it. Like, oh, I'm struggling with this, but no one asked me, like, what is it like? What do you need?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, they kind of tiptoed around me like I was fragile, which I get.
Yeah.
I understand how it's a hard situation, but, like, I kind of wish that, like, someone asked me what my story was. Like, asked me about it. To, like, provided me with maybe an opportunity to feel safe enough to share what I was going through. Because I felt like I had to get there on my own, alone, and make my own opportunities when I felt safe enough. And I think maybe if someone had asked, it would have felt good.
Yeah. Always, like, I feel like always ask. I think I when I was, like, really kind of in the heart of it, like, if somebody didn't ask and, like, just brought me random food or whatever and, like, made me eat it, like, that's
weird.
It's not as helpful as you think.
No.
I'm so sorry. Like, you tried, but, like...
Like, bringing me a cookie when I'm scared.
Meet
like
your friend where they're at.
Yeah.
What do you need? It might be hard for them to say, but, like...
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient. I like that.
If you're willing to share, is there anything that still scares you? That's number 6.
Going back to that place. Is that what they mean?
I think they meant, like, certain foods or, like, eating disorder related behaviors, not necessarily literally going back to having an eating disorder. Because, yeah, that's scary.
That is scary.
That's a scary situation. I will admit that for me, it is sometimes still hard and I still struggle on days that I don't exercise. Yeah, I'll leave it kind of at that, but I'm working through it. I have a big rule of do the opposite. Anytime, like, my little eating disorder voice says, like, I always disobey it. I always do the opposite. Like, and I'm at a place where I can very much do that. But I still, on those days, I still kind of, like, struggle with, like, battling those thoughts. I don't act on them, but I still have them sneaking in sometimes, for sure.
Ditto, actually. Because I think, a big part of my struggle was around exercise. So
exercise, for sure. And I think that sometimes an eating disorder can translate in, like, oh, I'm just being healthy and I'm working out, but, like, you're not.
Yeah, when you feel guilty and start having panic attacks when you're not exercising,
that's not healthy. That's actually really disordered. Yes. I have a feeling neither of us are going to be able to answer this question, but it says, what was your first trigger you had? And I can't remember. I honestly can't. That's a loaded question. I don't know. Like I said, it kind of came on casually over the years. Yeah. Can't really say.
I think I can actually name mine.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. There were some allergies in my family, and with gluten in particular. And I was convinced that I had the same allergy, and then started cutting out food because of that. I was so scared that I was going to get sick. So I guess, that is eating disorder related. I was so scared that I was going to get sick and that I was going to alter my performance in, like, sports and stuff. So when, I guess that even goes back to 3rd grade, I think, was when, it was... And I didn't I don't think it triggered me then, but that's, like, when, like, allergies started in my family.
So you're just aware and exposed to them, yeah.
And there, like, wasn't as many options for, like, gluten-free stuff at that time in life, I guess. And then, so I remember it was, like, the day before, I think, a cross-country race. I was like, oh, everyone's carving up, having pasta. Like, I think I need to eat gluten-free because I'm going to get sick. And, like,
You're like, which is legitimate if you actually are gluten-free, but please go get that diagnosed by a doctor.
But I convinced people that I was for many years.
My gosh.
So, I don't know if that was okay. Was that okay?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think any of that was, like, and we gave a trigger warning, but I don't think any of that was fine. Okay. Next one is, we kind of already talked about this, but what do you do when you are triggered by something? I always do the opposite. Like, immediately. Like, there is not even...
No time to think.
Yeah, I don't give it any time. Like, if I have a tiny... Like, even, like... You know, like, the scrolling credits? If I have a scrolling credit that's like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't. I'm like, yep, I'm having
the
that.
The shoulds. Yeah. The shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Yeah. Every single time. And, like, every time.
Yeah. I
always just... Even if I'm, like... Again, if I'm not hungry and a little thing that comes up in my head, it's like, well, good, because you should... I'm like, oh, crap, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because Paul brought up this the other day, and he doesn't know that this is, like, an eating disorder thing, but I do. What? He's like, it's really funny because, you always tell me you have these cravings, and then we immediately go get whatever you're craving, and you don't even like it that much, and you are just like mad about it. And I'm like, yeah, but I have to have that thing because I know that if not, that I'm going to be fixated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like as soon as a thought crosses my head, it's not like a craving. It's like, okay, no, I have to go do the opposite of that, which leads me to be like,
to at least have it at hand.
Yeah.
So that you have, you know, you have permission to have it.
Exactly.
And
So then I go do this, and then Paul's like,
Yeah.
and then you never actually like it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a nice feeling of like not actually liking something, like being okay, not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't know. That was something where like one of my like monumental moments, which seems so little, but it's every time one of my fear foods sits in my house for like a long time without me even giving it a second thought. Like it just casually is part of my diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just, I'm like, oh, I can, like, this is safe now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a safe thing.
Like, I always try to have like my fear foods always.
Yes,
in my house.
I always do too.
Always.
Yep. And
so that, and then,
yeah.
And if I am craving it, cool, I have it. It's not a big deal. Like it's in my cupboard.
Mm-hmm. And it's just funny sometimes dating someone who like obviously didn't go through recovery with me, and then being like, why do we have all these weird like random foods in the cupboards?
Because you
like
them.
And it's like,
yeah.
And it's like, I don't touch them. And he's like, you haven't even touched these. And I'm like, you can't throw them out. They have to be here. It's like, even though like they're so like, they're just little dumb things that I probably don't really want, but I just had a weird thought in my head. And I was like, well, I got to have it in my cupboard now.
It's dangerous because Mac lives like, it's not dangerous, I'm sorry, but like legit, your backyard is a coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
And like a bakery.
Oh
and
yeah. Well, that's the best.
Yeah, it's the best.
Except for my money doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, see, my wallet doesn't love that I say yes to everything.
And the thing is, my wallet doesn't love that
I say yes to everything.
I'm friends with Mac because
then I get everything.
We get coffee like
Yeah.
every day together.
And now my new fixation is mochi.
Mochi. And
Mochi.
ham and Gruyere.
Oh, I love ham and Gruyere sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Or I guess I call them sandwiches, but this is just a croissant. It's not an actual sandwich. But if there's meat and cheese in it, I'm calling it a sandwich.
Ooh, I feel like it's a hot topic. I feel like it could be a sandwich.
Yeah, I call it
That's
a sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. Okay.
Anyway, moving on.
What were the long-term effects of your eating disorder?
I kind of said them in the beginning.
Yeah, we can probably skip those. Well, long-term effects.
Long-term, you're right.
My bones never healed. I have to take calcium a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously, like...
My digestive system is shot.
Yeah. Oh, I went through second puberty. Okay, that's not... I need to stop here because...
I think that might be normal because I definitely had... Well, I also had an eating disorder too, so...
I'm not a doctor, but this is my theory.
Okay,
So,
but I feel like in your 20s, you get another... Continue.
Do you?
I don't want to cut you off, but I had that too.
okay, I see...
I think it's normal.
I don't know. So my theory is... Here's my theory. So I went through puberty, obviously as a little kid. Or like not a little kid, but a normal...
As a
As your normal time.
pubescent kid.
Pubescent kid, yes.
Or is that pre... Nah.
Pre-pubescent?
Don't listen.
I don't know.
Don't listen to
Whatever.
me. This is Mac's story.
And recently, like I said, I've been in recovery for a while, but I feel like I've been the most recovered the past like year or so, or a couple of years. Obviously, when I started running, because I wouldn't have started it if I wasn't. And I all of a sudden started getting acne again. And I haven't gotten acne like my whole life, like since I was 18. I started getting like worse periods. I started getting like
Did you lose
weird growing pains.
Did you lose your period?
No, I never lost my period. It was really weird and irregular, but it wasn't lost. And then
I was gonna say that could make sense.
I also feel like really like I had to nap a lot more.
You had a what?
Like I have to nap a lot more. Like
I
like
heard
a growing
apple.
boy. An apple.
I had an apple,
But
lots more.
I don't know if that's not scientifically proven because it could just be a thing you go through in your 20s. But I don't know. For me, I was like,
didn't have acne until I was 22.
But I'm 28, and I got it like 4 months ago.
Yeah. I don't know what to
There's
say.
any scientists out there? Because you let me know.
I think they were probably, the person who asked this question was probably like, I don't know what they were like. Can we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
What was the push that caused the change to recover? I feel like I already went over mine. Like I was in the doctor's office and just broke down because of the physical and mental issues I was having.
Honestly, ditto.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I cried in my doctor's office too.
Yeah. You get to like a breaking point, I
You
feel
do.
like. And then at that point, it's
Like your body
well,
just can't take it anymore.
True.
And your brain. All the above.
Next is, how do you focus on performance versus body changes? So I kind of said this.
Focus on performance
Yeah.
Performance in what?
Like as a runner, like in the terms of, remember, this is not my running Instagram. So I feel like
versus body change.
Body changes. So
Explain
like, you
this
know,
question.
I'm thinking that when this person asks, they are asking in regards to like, as a runner, how do you run and run more or run faster to be a better runner and not to be skinnier? I think that's what they're asking. Like they're not running, they're running to be a better runner, not to be skinnier, not to lose weight.
And then how you focus on that is...
Like I said, again, I did like a little Instagram thing about how I protect my peace.
Right.
Reframing food as fuel. And I disclaimer this. I actually gave a talk on how to run a marathon at my work last week. And my biggest disclaimer was, do not sign up for a marathon with the expectation to lose weight, because you can't do that healthily.
You won't finish. Yeah.
You cannot do that healthily.
No.
And
yeah, you could
you just need
injured, but
I mean, to
honestly,
really answer this question, I feel like you just shouldn't start running if you even have it in mind that you have a goal to lose weight. Like if that is your goal to lose weight and you know that you are not in a place to safely, like, so I guess I need to also disclaimer this in a way. There are people who medically need to be healthier, and that might put them at a different weight. And some people who need to do that per a doctor's prescription or whatever, do sometimes take up cardio. That is different than someone who struggles with disordered eating and eating disorders. That is very different. If you...
That's a tricky line.
It is,
too,
but that's not... Yeah. So I just want to say... It is true.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, like, we're not talking about that circumstance. We are talking about the circumstance of, like, you are struggling with potentially having disordered eating thoughts, body image thoughts, or an eating disorder, and you want to figure out how to train for performance and not train to lose weight. You need to be honest with your goals there.
There is no ideal running body.
Yeah, there isn't.
Like if everyone exercised and ate the same, everybody's body would still look different.
Yes.
Like
Peep the book, Damn the Diets.
Yeah.
I love that book.
Did you lend it?
I did. I think I did lend it to you. I don't think you read it yet, though.
I think I have it.
Oh, you have. Yeah, I think
and
you still
I
have it.
I've read so many of them.
It's like very scientific. Yeah, everyone would look different, but also like try
just focus on fuel.
Yeah, you just need to protect your peace at all costs.
Yeah,
like whatever that means to you. Take
time off if you need to. Like if you're tired,
your days
listen
off.
to your body and slow down, because that's okay. Like honestly, it would probably help your performance in the long run to take the break instead of pushing through it.
And throw your scale out. Don't keep a scale in the house.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a given.
I have never kept a scale in my house since.
I don't think I ever owned one. Yeah.
Don't ever weigh yourself. If you go into the doctor's office, peep a cool, fun little trick. You can actually tell them you have an eating disorder. They'll put it in your like little chart, and then they will blind weigh you, and you won't have to see, or they won't weigh you at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do that as well. But yeah, just reframe your thinking. It's going to take work. You're going to have to make a conscious effort, and make sure like. It's hard to listen to your body if you're having these thoughts. Yeah. Fight it and tell yourself you're going to take 2 off days a week, and make sure you take those so seriously. And like I protect my peace at all times. I will take 1 day off a week. That is my, like for my training plan, it calls for 1 day. That's not to say you can't.
Cross training's okay. It's still valid.
But do that.
Yeah. I feel like if you like are struggling too, it can be hard to like trust your body and what you need. So it's almost like
like you at some point have to be scheduled. Like this has to be like that's why I said like protect your peace in the sense of take your off days and just take them. Like if you can't listen to your body, deem off days and don't go back on your word on those days.
Yeah.
Retweet. Next it says, did you experience extreme hunger? Where are you? 12. Okay. Did you experience extreme hunger and how did you overcome it? I did. And I did the all-in approach, and it was hard.
It is.
I did I mean, when I tell you I ate until I was sick and sad.
Just get that heating pad.
Yeah, I mean, insane. I don't know if this is a trigger warning.
What?
I was just going to be like, I would eat like a whole box of Pop-Tarts and like a full box of cereal, and that was like just scraping the surface. That's how
Of
how like
hungry
my
you
extreme
were.
hunger was. Or like sometimes it was not. I do want to clarify, when I experienced extreme hunger, it wasn't always physical. A lot of times it was mental. And if you're
Yeah.
going to honor your hunger and go through that period, it doesn't last forever. Don't be scared. It
does
does go
not.
away. 100%.
Like your body was in famine. It's telling you it's
Yes.
hungry.
And like, don't be afraid of it. You will not,
Yeah.
like, it's not gonna, there's no repercussions. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but like, it will stop. Like, you're not gonna, obviously, it's not gonna go on forever. But shoot, where was I gonna say with that? Oh, the mental. If you're going to honor that hunger, you need to honor it mentally as well, because if you don't, you are not helping yourself.
Give
so
yourself the permission.
yeah, you need grace, permission. Like, even if you're like, oh, maybe I want another bowl of cereal, but I don't know. I'm not really necessarily hungry.
About it like that.
Yeah, if you if you're gonna go to bed and you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta
it
just
is
go to bed.
tough though, because, and I don't want to.
Are you thinking about binge eating?
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but like for me, like I was definitely restrictive subtype. So like,
Same.
yeah. So I think some people might have honestly a little bit of a different experience with this.
Yes.
I don't know how to answer.
Yeah. Okay.
them,
So,
I guess.
what Tess is referring to is there is a binge eating disorder, and there are different. Is that what you're talking about? Like
Yes.
there are different opinions on that, whether or not it is its own classification or if it is just a
It is
repercussion of anorexia and restrictive eating. Because if you restrict during the day, then you'll binge at night because you're not allowing yourself
Are you
permission.
wait, what eating disorder are you talking about? Well, because there's like,
You can say it.
no, okay, because there's like where you like binge and purge, and that's like bulimia.
Yeah.
Or then there's like simply just binging where there's
Binging.
no
Compensation. Yeah, compensation.
behaviors.
Yeah.
God, I can't talk.
Compensatory. I can't say that.
Compensa-
Compensatory. And then there's obviously over or compulsive exercising, which is part of binging.
Where were we?
We were going.
We're in question 12. I think
it was because I was talking about, you were saying, because I said you have to allow yourself mentally to also give into that extreme hunger. But I guess it does depend.
Well, I guess if you're experiencing extreme hunger, then you're probably
coming from a restrictive background.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just confusing myself.
Yeah.
So.
It depends on circumstances. But you asked, the person asked, did we ever experience it? And my personal experience was, yes, I did. And my approach that I took on it was I just simply gave into it. Like I simply, as hard and as fearful and as scary and literally one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and I literally run marathons, was allowing myself to just give in and give myself permission to,
Because it doesn't
both
last
mentally
forever.
and physical.
Like I'm finished.
Oh yeah,
There's a light
100%.
at the light
There is a
end
light
of the
at the end.
tunnel.
So.
Yeah.
The next question is 13. How do you get over eating so much food to fuel workouts? I don't even think about it at this point now because I'm at that point. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to fuel workouts, I love,
Eating so much food.
for me, it's like my love of the workout. Like I love running. Some people love ice skating. Some people love lifting. Yeah. I have such a love for running and doing my hard runs and feeling good during them.
Same.
That is a bigger drive for me.
Yeah. It's a huge motivation factor for me.
Yeah. Because like,
recovery.
exactly.
For sure. It just makes me a happier person.
Yeah.
So if that means I have to fuel more, then like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose running again.
Exactly. Like, so I think that is like, find what you're passionate about. Find your why. Like find why, like, why do you run? Or like, I don't know, you could not be a runner, but like, why do you need to fuel these workouts? Like, do you love that workout you're doing? Or is that kind of like, do you not really love that workout? And if so, find something else that you can do that you love.
And then fuel that.
Yeah.
Because chances are you're going to want the concentration and you're going to want the energy. And you're
exactly.
Gonna want the mental capacity to do whatever it is you're passionate about.
Because even like the drive to recover was like, I needed fuel to live a life that I loved. And that was my reason for fueling more. Like I would remind myself like, you want to be happy and that is worth eating more.
Yeah.
So which one is next? Next is,
Get over fear of weight gain?
how do you get over the fear of weight gain? You don't, because we're fat phobic.
Yeah.
Like
culture
America's,
sucks.
yeah, it sucks.
It's tough.
But like,
Yeah. But I don't even know why, because I don't even. It's not like I'm looking at Joe Schmo over there, and I'm like, wow, like I think these terrible things about you.
Gosh.
It's a very personal, like internalized thing, and it's like I'm not good enough because I don't meet these standards. But I don't think that about anybody else.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't.
Like, I mean, so it's funny.
So I don't know why it matters so fucking much.
We all go to the beach, right? Like, let's think about this. I always relate myself back to this story or this like analogy. I guess it's maybe not an analogy, but we all go to the beach. Everyone there is worried about themselves.
No,
like everyone is on the beach worried about the way they look.
The beach is so nice.
And so like you might be like self-conscious sitting at the beach being like, oh my gosh, like I don't look like X, Y, and Z, or I have this wrong with me. But it's like everyone's also so wrapped up in themselves to think about you.
Yeah, they're not even.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like they just
but they're
don't
probably not looking at you.
And also like take a moment to ask yourself about the people that you see on the daily and the people that you spend time with. How often do you even like acknowledge someone else's body? Like on a, like on a day to day
at all.
Like you don't really like even, you don't.
Like I don't know if this is okay to say, but like I, had to do some weight restoration. And I was, it kind of gets me down sometimes. Like I'm not gonna lie.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the other day, Mac was like, "Oh, I haven't even noticed."
Yeah.
Like I don't even notice.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Still, even after you told me, I still couldn't notice.
Yeah. So there you go.
Like the people around you aren't gonna notice. Like it's just
maybe they will, but like I think they're gonna see. Probably you have more color back. Like they're gonna see your personality more. Like they're gonna see other things. Like it's not just.
I also think that in our heads we catastrophize it.
Oh, like and our eyes go to like the like.
Well, yeah, but also like when I used to think about waking, I remember this. Hopefully this doesn't trigger warning, but I remember when I first started recovery, I was so afraid of the waking. I had a photo shoot.
That of the body that you might lose?
Yes.
Well, yeah, there is some grieving around it, like.
But like I also in my head just thought I was gonna look so different. Like I had this fear I was gonna be so like I was gonna gain an extreme amount of weight. I was gonna look like X, Y, and Z, or like I was gonna be unrecognizable. But I was still me.
Yeah.
And like
your body knows where it needs to be at.
Yeah.
Like you have a set point, where your body feels healthy. And like
yeah, it's also like that's not going to happen in like
as extreme as you think it is.
And even if you do gain X, Y, and Z pounds, like one, you have to be realistic with that timeline. It's not going to be like you wake up one day and you look different.
Yeah.
And no one's going to notice. It's just not going to be a noticeable amount unless it's like maybe your uncle you haven't seen since you were a toddler. And at that point, like, yeah, anything you look like now is going to be different than toddler.
Yeah.
It's funny because
we age, okay? Like,
but yet we still expect ourselves to be looking like we were 14.
Silly.
Exactly.
And also, I guess for me, like I recently just went through and got rid of a bunch of clothes that like I didn't hang on to clothes that are too big or too small. I just have clothes that serve me now.
Exactly.
And that helps a lot. Really
yes. Does. Do not, and like, don't even put the clothes away. Like, oh, I might fit into these later.
Somebody else is, they're meant to be used.
You'll get something else. Like, it'll be fine.
Somebody could thrift them and be like, oh my God, like, this is so cool. So.
Yeah, Tess is going to go thrift them. Last one. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Are we? Okay, good. Well, not good because I love talking to you, but I just meant this. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know that you're fueling enough as a runner with an eating disorder past? I am worried that I am not eating enough.
If you're worried, you're maybe not. Okay, sorry. There could be a better answer than that.
Well, I mean, that's fair. Like, if you're worried you're not eating enough, then you're probably noticing things like maybe your performance decreasing, or you're not getting faster, or you're feeling more fatigued on workouts, or you need more recovery time.
Thank you for expanding that.
Yeah, there's a reason why you have noticed that you might not be eating enough. And
if you have a past, like...
Yeah.
Maybe it is something to like put some... Just to be cognizant of, I guess.
And I think maybe if you're worried you're not eating enough, I think maybe setting a, like, more, not strict, but just like a better guideline for yourself. Like, I have to fit in X amount of meals and X amount of snacks during the day, and then also make sure I'm eating before and after my runs or workouts.
Just a full day of eating, baby.
Yeah, and just make sure that you're like hitting those marks. And then, you know, take a acknowledgement, or not a look, but acknowledgement, like how you feel during your runs, how you feel during the day,
after,
and like how much, you know, are you waking up feeling rested, like things like that necessarily aren't you having to count any calories. Because I have had people be like, wow, you might not be eating enough, like maybe you should download MyFitnessPal. And I'm like, fuck no.
Wait, who says, like, on social media?
Just not on social media, but like I'll be talking to people. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get stronger, because I am trying to get stronger, because I'm trying to lift weights, and like so my muscles don't get as fatigued. And they'll be like, oh well,
prevent injury.
Yeah, prevent injury, all this stuff. Oh well, like if you're gonna lift and you're not gonna get muscle if you don't eat enough, you need to be counting calories. And I'm like, that's a hard pass for me, buddy. But so you might get some people who might tell you that that is an option. It's not an option if you have an eating disorder or disordered eating past. Counting calories or being that strict
it could be
is not.
It's a slippery slope. It could be a pretty triggering thing depending on who you are. And for me, it would be too. So
yes, I know we had one more actually come in.
Come in late.
So I'm looking it up really quick. And then we will be done. Okay. No questions, but we're grateful you're voicing a topic. Okay.
That's nice.
Oh, actually, yeah, here it is. This one I thought was very interesting, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. It says, what do you wish adults would have done who noticed aspects of your eating disorder? Adults. So when I say adults, or when I think of adults, it's funny because, like, we're obviously not kids. Like, I'm 28.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm still thinking about, like, when I was in college, and I was already an adult in college.
So I would say, like, maybe people of authority, or, like, positions of authority, like coaches, teachers, you know, parents, aunts, uncles, I don't know, things like that. Yeah. And I would say,
wait, what was I doing?
What do you wish they would have done? Like, or said, yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, it's hard because in the moment, someone actually did call me out for potentially appearing as though I wasn't healthy.
Which, by the way,
but
you
eating,
can struggle at any weight.
Yes, okay. Exactly. But, and that's what the hard part is like, well, two things. One, the hard part is like, as an adult or a teacher, as someone in that power or position of authority, before you go and make an assumption, I'm hoping that this person, I guess, did clarify, like, when you see ED patterns or behaviors, which is way better to go off of. You cannot go off of looks. Someone can struggle with an eating disorder at any weight, any age, any gender.
Absolutely not.
There's no rules. No rules, because
does not discriminate
at all. And yeah, so that's obviously hard. But obviously, this person asked with the not exception, but the intention.
It depends if they're a trusted adult, because I feel like if I had, like, I remember having a professor one time who was like, yo, you doing okay? And I just, like, I don't think they were, like, necessarily a emotionally safe space for me to be like, this is what I'm struggling with.
But also, like, I don't know if I would have done that to anyone, because I
said anything.
I had one or two people reach out to me when I wasn't even ready to, like, admit it to myself.
Denial. Same.
Yes. Yeah. And they were like, hey, like, you're not doing great, I don't think. I was like, I kind of got angry. Like, I remember telling Mitch at the time and being like, this freaking person, like, how dare they accuse me of this? Like, that is ridiculous. Like, and I was so deep in it. Yeah. But I was in denial. Yeah. So it's hard.
So, like, maybe you needed to hear it. Yeah. But, like, that's probably just, like, the disorder talking. Like, the anger is definitely the disorder talking.
But I think if you are close enough to that person and you are seeing disordered behaviors, or, you know, eating disorder behaviors or patterns, I think if you pull them aside, if you pull them aside in a safe environment, don't call them out.
Say you're doing something wrong.
Yes.
Because that's hard. Like, that's not helpful.
Yeah. Maybe ask, like, are you doing okay?
Is there any way
I can support you? But I do think
it's really tough.
It's so tough. It's
because
so
you
tough.
gotta want recovery for yourself.
You do. There
like,
is like they have to want it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like a parent seeing their kid go through it, there's a different level of like, not responsibility, but like,
too.
It's obviously like, eating disorders kill people. It kills a lot of people, a lot of people. And obviously, as a parent, like, if your kid is struggling, like, you have every right to be like, you're getting help. You need help. You need, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're not someone's parent, significant other, or like that, it's really hard to know when to step in or if it's going to have any impact depending on where they're at in their eating disorder journey or experience.
It's also tough too, because I remember not liking when I felt like people were talking behind my back and being like, you know, like, Tess is gonna drop dead tomorrow, which is not true. Like, I was, like, you struggle with for 10 years. Like, I'm not gonna drop dead tomorrow. Sorry, but like,
you don't want to be treated as someone who you have to tiptoe over.
Yeah, like that, like without any trust for like the person who's struggling. Like, they're human too, so like they're struggling with something hard. They can, I mean, more than likely be able to talk about something tough. I don't know. I don't think I can answer that one.
That is
right,
so hard.
To be honest,
it's so circumstantial. I think honestly,
the best
like,
one to end with, but
if you know someone's struggling or you are struggling yourself, like, you have to. Oh my God.
Sorry,
you have
she was stuck in the cords.
You have to want recovery, but also like, like we've been encouraging, like, just ask. All you can do is ask. That's honestly the best thing you can offer someone. Meet the person
where they're at.
Yes. But yeah. So we've gone through all the questions. We can wrap it up here, but
I think so.
We just felt like it was really important to talk about this and talk about our experiences because I think, like we said, there is some invalidation when it comes to like being sick enough, and just know that you're heard, you're seen. Yep. You're sick enough no matter what stage of it you're in, and your struggle is valid, and you deserve to not live a half full life. And whatever you're going through, like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and recovery is possible for anyone. And like, ask for help. Like, please ask for help. Please talk about it. Don't let it hide in the shadows. Like,
when you talk about it gives it less power.
Yeah. So thank you all. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks for also having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Tess. The debut.
Yeah. Mac's been trying to get me on this podcast for a while. I've played the elusive card, but I care so much about this topic. So I was like, let's do it. Finally. Let's do it.
But
it was not that scary.
All right. Peace out, friends.
Love you. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, bye.